what we do in these podcasts is I ask you to introduce yourself, then I start asking you the hardball questions to try to get you to admit that you were that bank robber that knocked stuff up. And just general chat. It's not real formal. We don't have many viewers, but we want to keep doing it just to keep our fingers stirring there, because there's not a
Yeah,
whole lot we can do when there's in-person stuff in the middle of this pandemic.
right.
So,
Yeah, interesting times, huh?
and we'll
Um,
just be using your audio, not your video.
okay.
So you don't have to worry about any of that.
All right.
All right. Here we go. The guest today is my friend Ian. So we'll let Ian introduce themselves and get started here. All right.
All right. Hello everyone. I'm Ian Aughinbaugh. Artist, digital artist, musician, teacher, uh, sarcastic weirdo.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that. It says here you studied the school for the sarcastically gifted. Are you sure you could really cut it as a sarcasm person or not?
I that all came about. I've always been a big fan of humor and a very good sense of humor. I appreciate it in everywhere I find it. I'd like to think that I have a good one. Sarcasm's fun, and so is dry humor, dark humor, you name it. It's all good. I'm also pretty strong with the self-deprecating humor as well. But that all came about years ago, when I was going through editing my Facebook profile, and I don't know why it just struck me as amusing. I thought, you know what? I know what I'm going to put in there.
I see a lot of teens say they work at the Krusty Krab.
Right.
This seems
That's a common one. I found that.
to work. Um, I first met you as a drummer for Easy Tiger.
Mhm, that's
Tell me
correct.
about being a drummer for Easy Tiger and what Easy Tiger is and
Oh,
that all started.
okay. Yeah. Easy Tiger. Well, I've been a drummer pretty much all my life. I started playing when I was about 11. I'm 40 now, so I've been playing for quite a while. Um, Always various bands here and there. Some that have done a lot, some very little, and some that were somewhere in between. Easy Tiger came about in 2012. Easy Tiger's just about 9 years old right this month, actually. Um, One of the other members, Andrew Wyatt, and I had met by playing in a different band previous with a mutual friend, and he ended up having to move away. His name's Adam Campbell. He lives out in Indianapolis now. Anyhow, Andrew and I became really good friends, and musical. We were musically we just clicked, and there was something there, and we decided we didn't want to quit playing together and writing, so we decided, you know what, let's just start another band. And Easy Tiger actually started out, it was just the two of us. It was a two-piece. It was completely improv. That was our thing. We weren't going to actually write anything. We're just going to go off the cuff, fly by the seat of our pants. And that lasted maybe a month or two until we started running into the same jams. We kind of recognized, like, wait a minute, that sounds awfully familiar. Um, so we actually seriously decided to start writing, and added a third member in for a while. It was actually Jimmy Trump playing bass, and then Jimmy had taken a little trip, a little vacation, and was kind of MIA. So, and we had we had played a few smaller shows and whatnot at that point, but actually there was a decent sized show coming up, and kind of needed a bass player. So in came Carl Hoffman, who's been with us ever since then. It was about July, I think, that year, 2012. And then Andrew Bailey joined that following October, and the four of us have been Easy Tiger ever since. Um, and Easy Tiger's done quite well. I mean, we've played a lot of cool places, cool venues, traveled, having, put an album out, have recorded a lot of other material too that didn't get released due to some circumstances. But there's more that's going to be recorded and released as well. Really, everything's going fairly well. I mean, it's about as good as it can during pandemic times where we can't really do a lot of, playing actual shows, but it's doing good.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've seen you perform multiple times at our uh, NAFCO Rock and Reel events because you're local. We can get you to come, and you've done an excellent job. I've been very
thank,
happy.
thank you.
Uh, Recently, you became, I guess not so recently anymore, an instructor over at Jeff Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you replaced Sam Ataro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of fell in my lap.
How did you end up being the media instructor at Jeff Tech?
Well, oddly enough, it was during a time Sam was actually experiencing a lot of health issues and some personal issues, and life was kind of rough for him then. And they were looking for, I mean, they had X amount of substitutes that were coming in, left, this way, that way. And I'm actually friends with Robert McMeekin, who's the IT director there. And he had got a hold of me last January, probably early January, inquiring if I'd be interested in coming in as a substitute, since I have had a very long background. I was a freelancer. I'm a freelance graphic artist, and obviously I've dabbled with video and audio and web design and kind of all the little components. Well, I shouldn't say little, all the major components that are taught in that program. Some more than others, obviously, more my forte, but anyhow, definitely well acquainted with all the avenues and aspects, facets, shall we say. Anyhow, though, so I thought about it, and I had taught some adult classes in years prior. Just, I taught some Adobe Illustrator classes and Photoshop and stuff like that. But anyhow, I decided, why not? What the heck? I'll give it a shot. And I went in and I had subbed. I was there for a couple weeks. I was subbing for a couple weeks, and it was going pretty good. It was going really well. I mean, the administration had liked me. The staff seemed to. I was well received by the staff, and definitely the students had a warm reception. And I was approached by administration, and they, hey, would you ever consider maybe doing this full time? Would you be interested? And I thought, let me think about it. I don't know, maybe. I mean, I don't really. The only background I have is in, in the degree I have for being a graphic artist, and having associates for that area. I don't really have, I don't have any teaching certifications or anything of that nature. But of course, they once you sign on to do that, they set you up. Like, I've been taking continuing education classes with IUP ever since this past fall is when it started, midsummer, rather, somewhere around there. At any rate, so I'm working on my teaching certifications and kind of learning while teaching, shall we say. But it's going fairly well. I mean, it's definitely I've learned, you learn as much, if not more, than what you're teaching. Uh, it's very interesting, and I picked a hell of a time to become a teacher during the pandemic, but I didn't know that. I was in there. It was funny because I had started full time late February last year, and so it's been almost a year, and I was there as the full time instructor for maybe a month. Maybe, I don't even think it was a full month, and then poof, everything was yanked, and it was shut down. Everybody was online, and I remember making the comment to some of the teachers that said, "Oh, it's so different." And naturally it would have been for them. I kind of laughed. I said, "We know it's kind of like I get pulled from this environment that I was used to for the last, I don't know, 15 years, and I was now in a physical setting interacting with people, and all after about a month, poof, I was thrown right back to the setting that I was used to. I was like, well, I'm really familiar with it. It's kind of been home to me." So I guess it wasn't too hard of a jump for me initially.
Yeah, some people made the jump to online teaching better than others.
Yeah.
And I imagine some type of materials harder to teach online than others
Oh
as
God, yeah. And just how some students are in this could be for adults or teens alike, really, or even elementary school level kids, because I mean there's so many people that are doing online learning. Some people are better suited for it. It's a decent fit. They can handle it. Others not so much. It's difficult for them, and it doesn't mean they're a bad student or they're not a good learner at all. No, it doesn't mean that at all. It's just the virtual environment is just extremely challenging for them, and that's a hurdle that that's a hard one. Sometimes you run into that, and it's when you don't have a choice and you have to try to find the best way or alternate methods or something, some way to help these people get through it. And I definitely, I probably care too much. Like I care about all the students, and I want them to do good. I want them to succeed, and I want to do the best that I can for them. And yeah, I'll spend a lot of time thinking about that. How can I? Well, what can I do to help? To the point where sometimes you exhaust yourself.
well. For people who don't know what Jeff Tech is, tell us what Jeff Tech is and how many students you have, what equivalent age ranges and grade levels they are.
Okay, yeah. Jeff Tech is basically Jefferson County, Du Bois area vocational technical school. It has 13 different shop classes. The one that I teach, digital media arts, being one of those 13. Very vast range of different skills, technical training there. Anywhere from like in the IT academy with me with the digital media arts. Then there's computer technology, computer network engineering, but there's diesel mechanics, there's auto body and collision, engineering technologies, culinary, cosmetology, you name it. There's quite a bit of choices, and it's basically a jump start towards those career paths. It's very valuable. I mean, if you have as a student, and you can be an adult student as well. You don't. It's not just catered towards teens, but probably predominantly it is high school grades 9 through 12. Um, but the classes translate well for adult learners as well too. So it's kind of suited for anybody if you have an interest and really want to pursue a certain career path that is taught up there. It's a great way to dive into it. And as a teenager, kind of doubling back to where I started, if you really have a heavy interest in a certain career, and it's a smart choice to make. You'll come out of there way ahead of the game, and whether you choose to go to secondary learning or not, you can if you're focused and you're serious, you can get at least entry level positions in your career that you desire, the certain career path that's desired. uh it's
I
smart,
know,
shall
I know your digital media arts program, there's a lot of people try to get into it more so than's accepted. I
yeah.
think it's one of the more popular, one of the, I know several people who wanted to be in the program, but just didn't get it.
It's I've changed it a bit too, because I put the focus I put to it, the general focus and kind of the undertone of everything what we do is digital marketing. Because that digital media, that's quite an umbrella. There's a lot that falls underneath the blanket term digital media career wise. And one of the areas in the digital world that's growing exponentially I heavily noticed, and it is digital marketing. And everything that you learn in there, from digital photography, graphic design, illustration, video and audio production, digital effects, special effects, and web design, you can take that all together, learn that all, and apply every single bit of that towards a digital marketing career, whether you're going to be a jack of all trades and do it all yourself and be a freelancer, or if you're going to work for another company promoting their products or that company or whatever have you. It's promising, definitely. I mean, you got to be obviously you got to be serious and focused, because I mean there's a lot of content in the program, and it moves. It's not a slow program. I mean, obviously with the with all the COVID stuff, it's quite a bit different at the moment, because you can't, you have to allot for so much. You can't move too fast, but you don't want to move too slow either. You know what I
Yeah. So you run Ian Alien Art.
mean? Yeah, that my freelance name, my fictitious freelance company name. Yeah, I've been. I mean, I still freelance. It's definitely not my primary anymore, obviously, since I've been teaching full time. But I do still freelance. I think it's important to do so to stay relevant, and I just enjoy it. I started. There's been so many. There's been a slew of different names. It initially started out as Cycloid Design was my first name. I was so enchanted with that name, because for a cycloid, that's kind of a mental health term, meaning that basically cycling through highs and lows due to no external factor. And I kind of it was attractive to me, because it encompasses so much, not so much the highs and lows. If you were to take that and apply it to art, there's various situations and creative issues for a graphic artist to solve visually. So hence the appeal and connection. And that was in 2009. That's when I officially launched. I was doing stuff on the side and underneath and in between before that, but I officially launched Cycler, which I even changed it before then, I believe. Oh yeah, it became Creative Tactic. That was the second name. That's what it was then. Yeah, it was November 2009. And then I switched it to Ian Alien Art as I started to get a little stranger with it. A little more confident, a little bolder. I built my name up. I had a reputation, and I kind of wanted to evoke a certain feeling or sense. There's a lot behind the name, really. But anyhow, as I became more well known, and I could quote unquote be a little choosier, become choosier with the work that I took in or took on, I got a little ballsier. So shall we say, um, but yeah, I mean, the name itself, the whole Ian Alien thing, there's so many ties. As a kid, as the creative, weird little artsy music inclined, whatever kid, the different one, I always felt like an alien, you know, so hence that connection. And instead of, at a certain point in my teens, I'd learned through certain people and certain albums and art, instead of running from that or making that a negative thing, I embraced it and became positive. I suddenly liked being different. I fully embraced it with open arms, and it fueled my art and everything that I created so much more once I finally embraced that and settled into myself. And I think it's an important thing. I like to try to actually tell my students that a lot too. Embrace your individuality. I reinforce that. I want to cultivate that. It's okay to be unique. It's okay to be different. If anything, it's great. Put that into your work.
Yeah, I think that's an important lesson you should be teaching them. So I agree with you entirely. So now you get to, since you got another full-time job, in addition to being in a rock band and teaching at school and running an art. So now you've got a little bit farther out there in your art to say. Do you take commissions? Do you have
I
the
do.
chance to be more choosy about what kind of work that you do as an artist?
I do still take commissions. I have a couple connections, couple clients, and some people that I still network with, and I do some freelance work with and for them. And I'm always open to commissions. I've taken on commissions. I'm definitely choosy on how much I load myself up, because of, well, everything else is going on and being busy with with, job number one, shall we say. uh, but yeah, I mean, I have a couple things on the freelance burners right now. I have something coming up. I've been putting together another installment in a book series. I'm doing the cover art for. I did the first one some time ago, and now it's time for round two, coming up here in March. I'm looking forward to that. Great people, great clients,
You've
and
got one on
fantastic.
the art page. It says Peter Zacagino.
Yes, and Alfonso. Yeah, that's they're in the process of writing the second installment now.
Excellent.
I can't say too much about that. A little bit.
No, I understand completely. So what do you like to do most about all the stuff that you do? And,
Mm.
and why does that sort of attract you more than the other things, or you just feel,
As far as what I do freelance wise,
no, in general, in your life, what do you think gives you the most fun or most pleasure in your artistic endeavors or teaching
hmm,
endeavors? What's the most fun?
I like I like anything creative. I like the creativity. There's creativity in every little facet that I've kind of filled my life with. Even being a father, I have three children, and I love them dearly, and it's so much fun. And that in itself is a job too, as any parent knows. The creativity. I mean, the chance to be creative and pour that energy, the creative energy, whether it's into a freelance project or a song that I'm writing or helping write, or a class or a topic that we're covering in class, or helping light a fire in inside of a student, to get them inspired to not only to work but to maybe believe in themselves and their work a little bit more. It's exciting stuff. I really like that. um
You do some collaborative stuff with people in art, and you do some stuff on your own. I see you collaborating with someone for the logo for the rural artworks.
yes. Yeah.
That's interesting looking logo.
Yeah, that actually, yeah, I was the digital side of that. Kayla Ligi, she drew that. So it's actually her original art, and I merely took it and vectorized it and kind of embellished this or that and added a bit to it. I put the type in and some of the other background elements. But that's the concept is totally hers. We were commissioned together. We both knew that we'd be working together going into that. And when we're friends, we're great friends. She's a fantastic artist. Um, and I'd love to see her do more. I mean, she's very talented. And yeah, rural artworks. I know some of the people behind that. I've known them for quite a while as well. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a no brainer. I got asked if I'd be interested in being a part of that. So sure,
Yeah, it caught my eye because I know some of the people involved in that group as well. So that sort of caught my eye when I was scrolling down through your pages. Uh, well, NAFCO is a film group primarily, but we're dabble in other stuff too. And we've got a lot of creative people. We're having a film festival on the 26th to 28th online. Uh,
Nice.
we've got we have submissions from I think 94 different countries,
Wow.
and we had 1,800 and some commission submissions, short films, and we've got
Nice.
selections from 54. And you said you have kids in that, and you teach kids. 3 hours of that are films, animations, documentaries made by kids 17 and under, young filmmakers.
Nice.
And so some of your students or your family might be interested in checking some of that out.
Definitely. Absolutely.
I haven't got the schedule, but how it's going to run. I'm just talk to you is we're going to have a 12-hour block starting at 5 in the afternoon on Friday, then showed again beginning at 5 the next morning. So no matter where you are in the world, all those films will be shown in one of the two times where you're not in the middle of the night. Stay up
Right.
all night to see it. So
Everybody gets a chance. Yeah.
everyone gets a chance. And so there's really some fantastic films there, some really, really interesting stuff. So we're going
I
to
bet.
do, we have 24 hours of films total in two 12-hour blocks that'll be shown twice. And I
That's
think
cool.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And I'd like you to encourage your students to check out our NAFCO group and our
Def-
NAFCO Young Filmmakers group. I think we could use more people involved. And uh, and
I'd
if
be happy to.
you and are welcome to become involved too. We're just trying to get everyone doing what we can here. So that's a sort of an aside little blurb there for our film festival. But I really do think there's some neat films in our festival that I think people would like.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed at some of the creativity that's going on. And you look at the animation block, we got like a 2.5 hour animation block. Most of the films are under 5 minutes in the animation, you
That's
know, but they're all these different styles of artists, everything
yeah.
from claymation to rotoscoping to line drawings to scribble art to everything. And it's just so many different kinds. We're supposed to reward a best film in the animation, and they're so different. I don't know how they're supposed to be comparable to see which one's going to be best. So it's the youngest filmmaker. She's in the fourth grade now. She's in the third and fourth grader. Submitted
Wow.
animations, and I'm sure she got help with it, but it's originally her style, and she's given the credit for it. But and you can tell it's the kid wrote the wrote the story,
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. Especially so young. That's I like that.
And so if you're looking at your students, say, "Hey, this 9-year-old got this film in an international film festival. Why are you guys slacking so much?"
This 9-year-old beat the crap out of your project.
So, but yeah, we're going to stream it on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page live
That's
on.
cool.
Uh,
Yeah, I'll be sure. I'll definitely be sharing that, and I'll share that with everyone to make sure it's been well made aware of for sure.
how did you first get interested in art? Did you start doing art when you were a kid, and what kind of stuff did you do?
Yeah, my interest in art, I think I've been involved in the arts in some way, shape, or fashion or form since I was extremely little. I can remember being a kid. I started drawing like around age three, and I mean, granted, I had a decent amount of toys, but I had way more art supplies than I did toys when I was a kid growing up. Always I had my easel and all kinds of this and that, and markers and pencils and various different things. I was just so interested in it, and I was always creating since as long as I can remember. And it was definitely fine arts. I was definitely more of a graphite guy, more the drawing kind of artist, fine artist. And I got into paints. I dabbled in so much. I mean, and then as the years went on, I mean, I didn't get into the digital side, the graphic arts side more so till later on. It was always fine arts, and I always went through I was in the artistically advanced classes in school. Then it was high school where I got my first taste of the digital side of things. And I really liked it. I kind of fell in love with it, but I didn't really pursue it until years later. Um, 'Cause I also my high school art teacher hated graphic design, hated as she called it, the commercial crap. And we kind of butted heads on that a little bit because I was intrigued. I'm like, well, because we never got to learn about it much. We just got this little taste. But since she hated it, it was kind of like, okay, here's a little taste. Let's brush it under the rug. I'm like, well, no, hold up. I kind of want to know more, you know. Anyhow, though, it sparked my interest, and as time went on, I'd been doing so much with fine art. I mean, I took stained glass classes, airbrushing, you name it. Then I just kind of got sucked into the digital element, and really pursued graphic design and graphic illustration, and then everything just kind of sparked from there, you know, into the kind of the digital media realm. Uh, and I was looking for a new challenge as well, something that was different, something I did not know how to do at all. And I'm a big fan of, you know, not looking at the instructions and falling flat on my face and learning the hard way. uh, Seems to be the way I've learned a lot in my life. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely a learn by doing kind of person. I think as creatives, a lot of us are. You know, you learn by doing. It's just, I don't know, it works. Yeah, sure, you're gonna read a little bit and research is good, and I don't want to downplay that, because I mean, boy, I'd be a hypocrite. My poor students, huh? Um, but I mean, as creatives, a lot of that you do learn by doing. You got to try it. You know, you can learn about it and research it a bit, but you got to dive in at some point. You got to jump in the pool. You know.
It doesn't hurt to learn the mechanics of what you're doing, but the creativity always has to be within
Exactly.
yourself.
Yeah, you need the nuts and the bolts and the theory, but you got to have that creativity and that drive, or else, I mean, you can do all the research and reading in the world, and if you don't have the other elements, it's just not really going to work too good for you. You know.
You said you always approached art through like originally a fine arts direction. Is there uh,
Yeah.
artists that you really like out there that anyone else would have heard of?
Oh God, there's so many, too many to name.
Pick out a couple. Uh,
Um, I'll go with two that are completely different. Um, and well known. They're both extremely well known. One being from the old days, from my youth, Salvador Dali. I was a surrealism kind of guy. I like surrealistic art. Not to bash anything that of any realism. I like that too. I appreciate all the different forms and stuff, but surrealism caught my eye so much because I was very interested in distorting reality. I knew what reality was. It's always been around me through my eyes, you know. I like the distortion, the exaggeration, the eccentricity. I don't know. It's very intriguing to me. Always has been.
big poster of persistence of memory that I always
Oh
hung up.
yeah, there's just something visually appealing. I mean, there's weird concepts, you know, the stretch and the why, you know. I think it's really cool looking at pieces, and people going, that's really cool, but why? But you're thinking, it draws you in, it makes you look at it, and you just, why? You know, this is kind of cool. So yeah, I was always enchanted with surrealism, while appreciating, you know, some of the other areas of the fine arts realm too, like impressionism a lot too. That's kind of cool. Not so big on cubism. I respect it, but kind of, you know, not my thing. But then anyhow, to go to the graphic side, to be a little quicker, to burn through it a little bit. Um, I like that, like, once again, there's billions, there's so many, too many to name, but one real prominent in the graphic side of things would be Shepard Fairey. Uh, love Shepard Fairey's work. A lot of the Obey stuff that he has done. So much he's done. You know, he's done a lot. Done a lot of high profile work. That name is definitely out there. So I definitely respect his work. Um, just I love his style. He's got a great, just a fantastic style.
There's so many artists that do so many different things. Like Jackson Pollock does
Yeah,
some
splatters.
did some stuff, and people like, what is he doing here? But in person, you can be sort of sucked into seeing what's in his paintings if you see them in person. They don't look
True.
as, they just don't look as i- impressive digitally. Like if
Right.
you're just standing in front of them and just looking at everything.
Yeah, I agree. And that, that actually ties into one thing too, like with that kind of ties me back to like at the abstract side, at the abstract realm. I Abstract for me has got to it's got to have a meaning. It's got to evoke a feeling, an emotion, something. It's that I call it abstract with a purpose. Now I know a lot of people out there will argue with me. All abstract has a purpose. All right, maybe so, but it's got to strike me. Then I like it. And I don't know. I don't entirely know where I was going with that. I guess I felt the need to mention that.
Okay, there's artists that I just don't get, but I appreciate that they're trying to do something different. And
Yeah.
whether I actually get it or not, like Mark Rothko, I don't really know what he's doing, but I appreciate he's out there doing it
Right.
because someone must appreciate it.
Yeah, somebody likes it, right? And that's the
So
fun. That's the great thing too with art. It's definitely different strokes for different folks. I mean, we all like different things. And it's not a competition. There's no real rule book. You can express your creativity how you like. The more savvy and you are, and the more know-how you have, the more knowledge that you've attained, it will definitely help. Um, but I think it's great. I think it's fantastic that there should be a gajillion different flavors, because we're all unique people out there. We don't, if we all like the same stuff, it'd be incredibly boring. I would not like this world at all if it were like that. I like the fact that we all like different things. It's something interesting to talk about, respect each other's viewpoints and, explain. Tell me why you like that, and I'll tell you why I don't, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
well, so back to music. You play drums in Easy Tiger. What other instruments do you play? Because I see some guitars in your background.
Well, it's actually that would be I actually live with my one bandmate, Andrew Wyatt. All the guitars are his, definitely not mine. I'm a very terrible guitarist. I've dabbled a little bit with guitar, with stringed instruments in general. I mean, I could kind of get my way around it. I used to play other instruments a little way more than I do now. I've been for a good number of years. I'm a specialist, shall we say? Uh, Pretty much a drums and percussion only kind of guy for the majority of the time I've been playing. I mean, I'll play a little harmonica or tinker around with a keyboard or a piano here and there, and I can find melodies and can kind of fumble my way around things, shall I say? But I mean, I've been playing drums. I started on guitar when I was 10, 9 or 10. And though I enjoyed it, I had heard certain, because music has been a very, very strong influence and aspect of my life since I was a very little child, since I was a very young child as well. But like as I was saying though I enjoyed what I was doing with guitar, I had heard certain albums and certain music that I'd never heard before, and which also showed me drums, that instrument, percussion being played in a manner that I'd never heard before, and I was I was totally enchanted. It stole me big time, and then I turned and towards drums and I never looked back. I dove into that at 11 and completely self-taught. I wanted lessons, but it never happened. Um, I learned the theory side of music many years later, and I'm still horrible at that. But it's always been, play by ear, play by heart kind of thing. It's part of me. It's ingrained in me just as much as art is. But music is art as well, just audible art. So yeah.
You were talking about percussion. Do you ever see that short video of the guy is playing the triangle and he runs up from the orchestra and just
I
do you know what
believe
I'm
I
talking about?
I believe I do. Yeah.
It's it's kind of an interesting piece there, you know. This guy's
Yeah,
like a triangle player, and you know how you see those rock guys with their guitars like sliding around the stage. He's there whacking on his triangle, just out in the middle of the orchestra.
got to go nuts and really get into that triangle playing. No, I love it. Yeah, it's there's there's so much art. There's so many different facets. There's so much art, so much creativity around us all the time. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, so I was just kind of, I had to do that. It was on my mind.
I love it. I like the humor. I definitely appreciate the humor. You can put humor in if you can combine a good sense of humor, uh, a a creative mind, and a really strong work ethic, and you've got a very interesting, dangerous person. Somebody I would love to talk to.
Well, what haven't we've talked for a while now? What haven't I asked you that you'd like to tell all your millions of fans out there?
Mm, I don't know. Um, just I don't know. Keep creating. Keep you know. Be unique. Be original. Be different. Have no fear. You know. Be unabashedly you. You know. Unapologetically. You know. Be yourself and create. Yeah, don't stop. You know. The world needs a lot of that on a consistent basis.
All right. Thank you for the interview. I do films, mostly documentary films, but other stuff too. So if any of your students or friends or family are interested, I'd be interested in helping them get started or do some
Yeah.
demonstrations or talks to them or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess I'll close this off and talk to you later.
Alrighty. It's been great. I appreciate it. I thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the excellent Zoom meeting.